So here I am back at the project shop, and as you can see, the Esprit is there, it's running, just sort of warming up a little bit at the moment. So I've obviously got to run in the engine, needs to do maybe 500 miles just to sort of settle things in. Then we're going to do an oil change and just sort of check things like throttles and carbs and whatever. But yeah, really pleased. It's 236 days since I last drove this car. That was when the incident occurred. If you've not been following that, I'll put a link to where we got to from there. But no, really excited now to just drive this home. Sadly, I won't be able to drive it for about a week because I'm away. But hopefully after that, I'll be able to get out and put a few miles on it, do a few trips here and there. Just taking a look around the workshop. It's quite an eclectic mix today. So we've got VW camper, Peugeot 205. Classic Lotus Elan, up on the stands there, Mercedes Pagoda SL, and a Lamborghini Espada down here. So just pretty representative of the kind of different things that the Classic project shop work on. Just want to say a big thank you to Motul, who provided all the fluids and oils for my Lotus Esprit. They've been around now 170 years this year, and they're great sponsors of motorsport events, both historic and modern. They've got oils and lubricants to suit all cars, including classics. So why not check out their website, linked in the description below, to find products to suit your car. Here we are then, first drive for a while. I just had to put a bit more fuel in. I actually fueled it up just after I had the problem, and it was only then when I restarted it I managed to, when I realised that what the problem was, and started and shut the thing off again. So, but obviously during the rebuild they had to drain a bit of the fuel out, and with the various test drives they've done, it's just basically emptied it. So it's now indicating a half tank of fuel. The exhaust is sounding good. The engine feels okay. Obviously we don't know quite how good it's going to be until after the sort of running in period. So 236 days ago I had the problem. I then spent 50 days procrastinating about what the problem could be, trying to decide if it was something I could fix myself, before I finally decided to take it somewhere and took it to the Classic project shop in Bicester. So they removed the engine for diagnosis, and it turned out it needed a full rebuild, not just the top end, so not just the valves. So at that time decided to do a few other things, like fitting high torque drive belt and sprockets. It also, whilst you're there when the engine's out, give it a complete new clutch. Car came back to me, so had a bit of a tidy up around the engine bay, did some work on the interior, did the headlining, repaired the seats. And eventually the engine went back in, so the rear brakes had to be replaced. They were seized, sort of unrecoverably seized as well, so actually had a replacement new set. So that caused a few head scratches, as did the clutch release bearing, which turned out to be the wrong one. The exhaust has also caused problems. It's still not quite fixed. In that there was the wrong downpipe was sent, or the downpipe had the wrong fitting on it. So yeah, there's been quite a few things. It then went for an MOT and sadly failed on a few electrics, which were easy to sort out, but also on front brake balance, sort of side to side. So had to get reconditioned calipers to put on the front. I've got the old ones to send back to P&M, and new discs at the front. And all was good, passed the MOT, but then on the test drives the brakes were sort of juddering, and they tracked it down to those brand new discs, which possibly haven't been cast and machined very well, and a little bit out of true. So they put the old discs back on at the front, and pretty much here we are now. So in 2 weeks' time it will be a year since I've owned the Esprit, and I'm really hoping that year 2 is going to be more on the road than off the road. I think I've only had 4 months of on the road and 4 months of driving this car in the last 12. So it's really great to have the car back. Not least because the things now, if you know, and things are going to be wrong and there's a few things need sorting out, but these are things that I can do, things that I can tinker with, you know, in my own time, you know, without paying sort of high labour rates for classic specialists. And I'm just going to enjoy getting back into things. The classic car show season is sort of back on again, so I'm looking forward to taking the car to a few shows, but also just to kind of drive out and about, get back to the sort of, you know, drive down to the classic motor hub. There's a couple of things up at Bicester Heritage. Maybe take it to Caffeine and Machine. I've got quite a few places round and about. And then there's also, you know, I'd quite like to do some longer road trips with it this year. Obviously I need to be, you know, confident of its reliability. But, you know, first off is getting it running. I think we've probably got about another 400 odd miles to go to get it to that point, and I'll then take it back to the project shop, you know, drain the oil and do any other tweaking that needs doing, sorting anything else out, any issues that have arisen. There's a few things still the same. The clutch pedal still squeaks. It's still hard to get into first gear. I haven't tried reverse yet. That'll be an interesting thing when I get home and come to get onto the driveway. It's still rather snug for a tall chap like me. And I've actually got some covers on the seats. I just got these covers whilst it was at the garage. You know, so obviously that means it's easier for them to be getting in and out without sort of having to worry about getting oil or grease or anything onto the upholstery. Also need to recenter this steering wheel, but apparently the track rod ends are the kind of equal length, so it should be just a matter of taking this off and moving it a couple of splines and all should be good. Also recognising the drafts a bit more. Being February, it's a bit colder than when I last drove it. So you've got these sort of little drafts blowing in through the gaps around the doors, and where inside the door skins the seals have gone. But you know, this is what I bought. This is what I was sort of intending to have to be able to enjoy. If you want a car that's perfect in every way, get a new one. Classic cars have character. They are not perfect. They have their little foibles and their idiosyncrasies and personalities almost that you have to kind of get to grips with. And you know, 7 months on, I've kind of forgotten what a lot of them are. So there's a bit of a rediscovery thing going on now. So it seems to be, or seems to have been, a kind of a common issue throughout this rebuild, that the parts purchasing, finding the parts, getting them made to order, getting them delivered, getting the right ones. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the Lotus world or what. But you know, if the parts aren't the right parts, if they don't fit, if you haven't got them in stock, if you can't get them, if you have to get a replacement part that's not quite right, it doesn't quite do what the old one did. it's been a bit of a catalogue of that kind of thing, this project, and it kind of makes me wonder whether, you know, if it weren't for all of that, this all could have been finished months ago. You know, maybe kind of November, December time, if everything was available and everything was in stock and everything was correct and didn't need putting on and then taking off because it was wrong, sending back, getting a new one. It just seems to be lots and lots of that. It's very, very frustrating. You know, so here we are. So I think the car came in originally was end of August or during August, and it's now February, not quite middle of February, but a third of the way through February, and I'm collecting the car, it having gone through that project and been rebuilt, or the engine having been rebuilt. So overall, I'm really pleased with what the project shop have done. It's been a journey for sure. There've been a lot of challenges and frustrations along the way, you know, for them and for me. And you know, it just goes to show, you know, the stuff that's in their workshop today, the sheer variety of classics that they work on. So a big thank you to Steve, the workshop manager, James, who's been the kind of lead mechanic on this one, Clive, who did the engine, and Simeon, the boss, and all the guys there. Thank you very much. I will be seeing you again shortly for the oil change. After that, I hope not to have to see you for a while. Don't take that the wrong way. So thank you to everyone who's followed this journey thus far. You know, I'm sure it will continue, but it's kind of the end of one phase of it where I've not been able to drive the car, and so I'm now looking forward, as I said, to getting out and about, and hopefully you'll join me on some of those trips. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Please like the video, give me a comment, and above all, subscribe please, so that you get to see what else I'm doing with the Lotus Esprit, but also with other cars as well. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.